Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Jeff Lasky and I am the CEO of the North Shore-Barrington Association of Realtors. I'm proud and excited to welcome all of you to NSBAR's first Luxury Roundtable. I hope you are staying safe and healthy. Why a Luxury Roundtable? The view on the street, in the eyes of the public as well as the real estate professional, is that the luxury market has been great. And they're right. During the pandemic, there has been strong interest on the part of those who can afford to move to the North Shore and Barrington areas to live where they have land around them and spacious homes where they can have their home offices and home theaters and home gyms. Just this past week, Inman News did an article about how the luxury market has been hotter than any other real estate market. Much of the luxury business being done this past year and continuing today is being done by members of NSBAR, representing many of the region's historically affluent enclaves along Chicago's North Shore, as well as the Barringtons and our Northwest suburban market space. NSBAR members have participated in over 1/3 of all the listing and sale sides of all home sale transactions valued at least $1 million across the entire MRED landscape this past year. Winnetka, Lake Forest, and Wilmette ranking among MRED's top 5 markets by both sales volume and units sold in the $1 million plus category. So much of the luxury marketplace is within the geographic area served by our association. This is where a lot of the luxury action is happening. These factors, along with our commitment to helping brokers succeed in luxury, gives us our street cred and leads up to today. This roundtable is the first in many efforts NSBAR and its Luxury Council is making to assist those brokers interested in succeeding in the luxury marketplace. The NSBAR Luxury Council was initiated to advise on the creation of programming, events, and resources that assist our members in providing the highest level of service to their luxury clientele, and to institute a forum for the vibrant exchange of ideas and best practices among real estate professionals. We seek to mentor those considering entry to this challenging market niche, and for more established practitioners, the opportunity to network among their peers and win a greater share of luxury home sales. For the NSBAR Luxury Council's first Luxury Roundtable, we are so fortunate to have 4 experts, real professionals, who know their respective marketplaces and, frankly, know how to do this. Just carving out a few minutes in their respective schedules has been really tough. But they are here today, and I'm sure by the time they leave, we are all going to be a lot smarter about the listing and selling of luxury properties. Let me introduce our guests. Marina Carney is the chair of NSBAR's Luxury Council and a broker with Griffith, Grant & Lackey, with offices in Lake Forest and Lake Bluff. Marina and Andy Mrowiak joined forces in 1999, forming the Proximity Partners. Their career sales have since surpassed $780 million. Marina is a 3rd-generation Lake Forest, Lake Bluff resident and brings a unique historical perspective of the market to her clients. Valerie Campbell is a broker with Baird & Warner in Barrington. She has over 25 years of experience in the industry and ranks among Baird & Warner's top 1% company-wide. She holds the LRS professional certification as a leading relocation specialist and serves all areas of the northwest suburbs, including Barrington, Long Grove, Killdeer, Hawthorne Woods, Lake Zurich, and more. Paige Dooley is a broker with Compass in Winnetka. Paige has been a Winnetka resident since 1991 and has over 30 years of brokerage experience. She's been ranked by Chicago Agent Magazine as one of Chicagoland's top agents in sales volume and listed as the #1 leader in sales volume in Winnetka and New Trier since 2004. She placed 120th in the United States by total sales volume, according to Real Trends, the Wall Street Journal. And Jane Lee is the president of RE/MAX Top Performers in Lake Bluff. She's been ranked as the #1 real estate agent in Lake County, Illinois since 2004 and the #15 RE/MAX team in the United States. She specializes in Lake County and Northern Illinois real estate, including Vernon Hills, Gurnee, Highland Park, and Lake Forest. Welcome, panel members.
Morning,
Thank you.
Jeff.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. Really very much appreciate it. We're going to jump right in because we've got a lot to cover. And Marina, I'm going to impose upon you to lead us off here. And what I'd like you to do is talk about your market, What have you seen over the past year in terms of luxury home sales? How's the market surprised you?
So I would say right this minute in Lake Forest in particular, we've moved a lot of larger homes, older homes that hadn't been selling in years past. We've been, a little quiet. What is surprising me is bidding wars at $5 million. We haven't seen that probably since 2001. I would say the other thing that's interesting is we haven't gotten to stupid money. So, and we did get to that in 2001 and 2007 and 8. Even in a bidding war, it's not going over by hundreds of thousands of dollars over list price when you're in the multi-million dollar place. So that's curious to me. Whereas other markets, Greenwich, et cetera, it's pretty much stupid money.
Okay, so by stupid money, you mean going way over, right?
Way over,
Okay,
yeah.
I gotcha. Okay. How about you, Valerie, out in your marketplace? What have you seen over the past year in terms of luxury home sales, and how's the market surprised you?
Yeah, I like to echo Marina's comments on that. We've had normally our market time's extremely long for the larger and homes over $1 million because the trend has been for people to go into smaller lots, scaling down in their house sizes. And since COVID has hit, basically what we've seen is a big exodus back out from the city and the North Shore to Barrington to get into larger homes again on the larger lots where they can kind of have their own slice of paradise and do their own thing at home. Whereas 2 years ago, over $1 million in the same time from from the beginning of January to the end of April. 2 years ago, only 14 homes had gone under contract on the Barrington and Inverness and kind of the Hawthorne Woods Long Grove market, compared to 5 last year, compared to 61 this year. So we've seen a tremendous uptick in the amount of sales of our $1 million+ homes. And people are willing to put money into the older homes now, whereas before buyers would look at them over $1 million and no one would want to do any work to update homes or bring them up to their standards. But we're seeing now that buyers are willing to do that to get the right piece of land and the square footage and the footprint that they want.
Now, I just want to make sure I understand you. I heard you right. 14 to 61. That's how much they. Oh my goodness.
It went from 5 last year, 14 the year before, to 61 this year.
So 5 to 6. Oh my goodness. Wow. Okay. Well, Paige, let's go in a slightly different direction here. I want to ask you about how has a low inventory and historically low interest rates impacted and reshaped your approach to the market, and are you doing anything special to help your clients find their dream homes in these challenging times?
Yes, the low inventory has been a very new thing for this current market time, something we experienced back in the day, and it's based on the fundamental economic principle of supply and demand. We, for the first time in a long time, have had the demand for the houses, and without being able to find enough houses to suit the needs of the people. The reality is it's also creating what everyone was referencing earlier, the ability for buyers to be more open-minded and willing to do work on some of the houses, which when they had a choice in the past, and there were houses that didn't require that, they would choose those. So the good news is people are being open and more creative. So A, working with buyers to see the potential and the value in those houses, and B, reaching out to prior clients and customers to see if some of them would like to list their house now versus in the future, where they might possibly be thinking about that. The other thing is, I think it's really important that we collaborate with each other and reach out to each other, because I think, and that is, the principle behind the board, is that we collaborate and all that, because I do believe a lot of agents have buyers and we have possible matches. So as creative as everyone can be in the process, I think is what we got to do.
Well, and I think too, and you mentioned earlier about buyers being willing to be creative. I think they have to be creative, right? If they're not creative, they're not getting the house, right? I mean, is what it's coming down to. So thank you for that. Jane, I'm going to ask you the same. questions. How has the low inventory and historically low interest rates impacted and reshaped your approach to the market? And are you doing anything special to help your clients find their dream homes in these challenging times?
Absolutely. Right now, when you're working with, of course, right now, everybody knows seller market, right? Home selling, over the weekend, with one house in Long Grove, we got 15 offer and they bid up 90,000 more than asking price. So it's very challenging for the buyer when they interesting to buy the home is really hard to them to get in the home, the dream home, talk about. Yeah. So right now, when we start working with the buyer, we educate the buyer first to tell them what's going on in the marketplace, and hopefully they understand. When they need to act fast, and also they wanting to do pretty much everything to get a house. For example, take home asset conditions, remove the mortgage contingency, no appraisal, because right now we are facing a lot of appraisal challenge because home selling a lot higher than 4 months ago, and the appraisal come and say, no, we don't agree with you. So try to get buyer with the mortgage contingency or appraisal contingency, and so they're able to get a house.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
really,
I'm sorry. Yeah, I bet that the appraisal issue, right? A house is appraising out has got to be a big issue for in all markets right now, I know.
So we advise some of the sellers. So right now, if the home did not appraisal out, we just relist it. We sell again, and for the time being, the home price catching up. So use the new comparison appraisal will come out. As you want the home, that's what we're going to do that.
Oh, interesting. Okay, great. I'm always interested in when I say technology and how it's impacting different markets, and in particular, the luxury marketplace. I'm very curious. So Paige, I'm going to bounce back to you for a second and ask you if you have an example of how you've utilized technology to help facilitate your transactions and augment your services, during this past year, during the pandemic.
Yeah, this has been an incredible year for technology. And I think in particular, FaceTime. During COVID, especially, sellers were sensitive, buyers were sensitive, agents were sensitive. And I used FaceTime all day long. We sold so many houses, and I think you had referenced that a couple people had sales where the buyers had seen them only on FaceTime. I had several of those sales, and they would see them by the time there was the inspection, perhaps. But I used it both for buyers and sellers to see it, but also working remotely. I was able to also spend some time a little bit longer in a warmer climate at Christmas time, because we were full on set up to work remotely. And my clients would be there live, I would be on FaceTime. Or vice versa in many of the cases. But the fact that we have all of the data at our fingertips and everyone is so electronic, it's integrating sort of the data piece with the physical visit, and FaceTime has really been a game changer in our world.
Yeah, I was, and it was at a board meeting. It was right before our board meeting started that one of our board members said that they had done an entire $1 million plus transaction on FaceTime. I guess I'm out of step, Charlie. I was absolutely stunned that could possibly be the case. But Marina, I know I'm going to ask you the same question. Do you have any examples where you've utilized technology?
Yeah, I would echo Paige's comments. Certainly FaceTime has been a game changer that way. I actually had a client that never saw the house until they moved in, except for via FaceTime. I will say, though, that I think it's super important as that luxury agent, or even not as a luxury agent, just as an agent, that you get on the FaceTime call with your client. If you are in that southern climate or where else, or maybe just can't be in two places at one time, to be there with your client seeing it is as important as the client seeing it. Because how can I, if I've never been in a house, how can I counsel them as to what the right purchase price, or, go back, let me look at that furnace or hot water heater and blah, blah, blah. That's really, really important if you can't be there.
No, I would say it's not
Critical.
abandoning. I think it's important that the FaceTime call, in fact, as you're looking out the window, you know what I mean? You're saying, okay, look at the size of the property, relevant things, questions. I think it's still a very interactive process. I think, not to be abused, as you said.
Right, but I think all of us on this phone call know that we have gotten calls from agents saying that they want to send their client through and they don't get on the call with them. And I think that's doing their client a disservice. So I would say, for sure, the FaceTime needs to be agent accompanied or instigated. Pick one.
Great advice. Great advice. So let's talk for a moment. And Jane, I'm going to go to you here first and ask you about, what your affluent clients are looking for in homes today. How have their expectations and wish list evolved during the pandemic?
I think the double office, people love to have 2 offices in the house because all the people quarantine in the home. The pool is big commodity right now. People love pool. When we list the luxury home, the yard have no pool. We put a vertical pool in the yard so that people can see they do have a space to put a pool in the home. So I did a one house in Lone Grove, have a sport court, beautiful sport court. We put in Lone Grove, 1.85 million, sold in 1 day. First buyer walk-in, pay cash, full price, because the in-ground pool and the sport court. So a lot of luxury buyer, we feel like they need a space, like really nice space, 2 office, in-ground pool. If we can get a sport court or the basement, one of the home I'm listing right now, going to have a golf course in the basement, which I think will be a huge hit for the luxury buyer.
Yeah, in my neighborhood, a gentleman that owns a company that does pools, is telling me that they are absolutely,
Crazy.
it's just crazy busy putting in pools right now.
Some of the pool guy were telling us that in 2 months they write about 10 million contract for the pool.
Wow.
So the pool guy making a lot of money. You can even put a pool probably 2 years later. No one,
Right. Yeah. Hey, Valerie, how about your affluent clients that are looking for homes today? Have their expectations, their wish lists been evolved during the pandemic?
You know what? Yeah, I find that in the upper bracket homes, some of the things people are looking for is if the home doesn't have an elevator, the potential to put an elevator in down the road. So an area to put the shaft or having a shaft or an elevator. Definitely independent living quarters for aging in place or aging at home. So if someone is at that stage in their life, or mom and dad are coming back to live with them in a year or so, or as we've seen during the pandemic, some people move their parents out of assisted living facilities and back home. So I think that's one thing that people are really looking for, is where's that space to expand, to add more living quarters for independent living. As Jane said, just really like elaborate pools, elaborate outdoor kitchens, fireplaces, places where people can entertain at home. New construction, some of the things that they're really looking at as far as the affluent clients are larger islands in the kitchens for entertaining more at home instead of going out to dinner. Charging stations in garages. They're running the tubes for solar panels for future potential of doing solar panels on roofs. So as you're finding, some of the more affluent clients are thinking ahead for the green energy features in homes. But I think it's more people just wanting to, be able to be around their home and enjoy what they have more.
All right, so Marina, certainly it appears to me, but I think this we could all agree upon, luxury is not the same to everybody, right? Meaning that, for example, depending on price points, right, different amenities become more important to those buyers, right? So likewise, the age or generation of the client's going to have an impact on what amenities they're interested in. So I'm hoping you can take a minute and flesh that out for us a little bit.
Well, I think going back to Valerie's point, the amenities certainly for the millennial buyer, or under 50, we'll even use that. The double office is important. The probably basements, the charging stations, etc., for sure. But then if you get into the 50 plus, the zero thresholds in the bathrooms are certainly important for aging in place. Yes, the elevator is becoming more important. I think the open concept for people under the age of 50 or with school age children that came home for COVID, open concept is gone because they needed to have zones. They need to have a zone for their child to be learning by themselves in a quiet room, and that plays out for all of their children. So the zone, I see more zones being highlighted. I also don't think that the millennials per se want to change colors. And I know to Paige's point earlier, or they don't want to do anything. To Paige's point earlier, they're having to be more open-minded because of limited supply. But I don't think that it's their first choice. They want it the way they want it, and they haven't opened their mind to that so much.
Interesting. Okay, so Jane, I'm going to ask you the same question, and again, we'll go towards the different, the interests of the buyers depending upon the different price points or their age or generation, and I'm hoping you can flesh that out for us from your perspective.
I see a lot of those luxury people buy a home. They're looking for like in-law suite, right? Because a lot of people bring their parents home because, for example, the parents in assisted living, they cannot see them, so they decide to bring them home. So they all looking for really be in an in-law suite right now, or another independent living quarter in the first floor. I mean, those are selling pretty fast right now, people just looking for, most of the people looking for turnkey home. If you have a really nice home, turnkey home, and most of the luxury buyer I working with that, they want to move in condition. They really don't want to come here doing remodel. They always tell me, Jane, we want home, turnkey home. So always we advise our seller, of course, to fix the home and for the style what people looking for, and you can get it done fast.
Interesting. Well, I'll tell you now, so far, again, I've been in the real estate business quite a long time, not as a broker, but I mean, I thought I'd know stuff. These questions have really helped me to understand things better. Now I'm going to ask Valerie a question now that I think this is the one that I already know the answer to. But Valerie's going to tell me why, and here's the question. Valerie, do you think the real estate professional has become more important or less important a part of the luxury marketplace during the pandemic?
That's an excellent question. Well, I think we've become more important. I worried about with the market getting so busy and so hot that we go back to the days of like 2000 to 2006, where homeowners would now start to just put for sale by owner signs up in their yards and try to sell them. But it's such an intricate market now in every price point that the realtor has become so important in the transaction of not only advising the sellers of how to prepare their house to show the best, but getting the maximum amount of people in to get them the absolute highest offer. But then figuring it all out for the seller, lining everything up, going through everything with a fine tooth comb to figure out which one is the best offer for you with the least amount of pitfalls. So I think that more than ever now, we show our value in the transaction to buyers and sellers.
Terrific. Hey, Paige, I'm going to ask you the same question. What are you seeing?
Absolutely. I think our value has become even more important to our clients, as you can say, evaluating the multiple offer situations, preparing their houses, finding houses for them. It is very easy, and it's most people's single biggest financial asset. So it's very easy for people to sometimes overpay. Part of it is really helping them analyzing what their goals are and being smart about the process. And a phrase I heard years ago, discounts can be expensive. If they're trying to look to save a little bit money on their single biggest financial asset, sometimes it can cost them more in the end. And so it's very, very important. We have had a lot of deals. As we say, the market on the outside looks very good and strong, but there's a lot of changing minds. There's a lot of people getting in and out of markets or contracts, excuse me. There's a lot of complexities with deals, and it's more important than ever. As I said to someone, this is really serious business, and you need someone who really is an expert to guide you through the process.
And I'm gonna piggyback onto that thought a little bit and go back to Valerie. And Valerie, here's where I want to go. And let's go over the course of your career. How do you think the concept of modern luxury has evolved amongst affluent clientele?
Well, I think modern luxury, you can look at a number of different ways. For our market in Barrington, what I'm seeing is we do have a number of buyers, like I said before, coming out of the city and coming out of off of the North Shore that are really looking to get back to kind of nature. They want more land. They want to have a garden. They want to get their hands in the dirt. They want to have maybe some sheep and chickens. They want fresh eggs. So what we're finding is, for me, it's not so much the most exquisite with the biggest chandeliers and the brightest light fixtures. It's really a home that people can be comfortable in. It gives them the space of what they're looking for, maybe what they need to expand to. But it's really about just getting out and enjoying the nature again. And I think that's what we found. The Barrington market, and especially the Barrington Hills market, has really taken off because you have more flexibility for horses and little farmettes. And if you don't want any animals at all, you still got space to really do what you want. So for me, that's a little more modern luxury for the Barrington market.
Yeah, and then that's really interesting. So, Marina, I'm going to ask you the same question, and to have you take a look at your career and how that concept of modern luxury has evolved.
Yes. So modern luxury, if I go back 30 years in the market, was whose old house could you buy that, had the pedigree, and it had all the right rooms. The dining room was enormous, etc. The kitchen was a maid's kitchen. It was okay because you were going to have that. Now, of course, the kitchen's the center of the house, or the outdoor kitchen if it's in your backyard. I do think, like Valerie was describing, the clientele today is more grounded, and that means they want their hands in the ground. And if they don't, to garden, to raise chickens, we have that in Lake Forest and Lake Bluff for sure. And if it's not that they're actually going to do it, they like the idea that they can if they want to go there. Bathrooms and closets are still, have become also focal points over the last 30 years. Anyways, I do think it's, and getting out in nature, it makes us all feel better. So the amenities that we have in our communities, like Lake Forest Open Lands or Elliwa Farm or the Lake County Forest Preserves, all of those help to sell the lifestyle that they don't have in the city.
This is fascinating. And if you're not involved in it, I don't think you realize, obviously, how things have evolved, that things today are different than they were even 10 years ago.
It's a lifestyle. Luxury is a lifestyle, not a house.
Gotcha.
Before it was a house.
Totally agree, Marina.
Agree. Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, let's give some help to people that are thinking about coming into the luxury arena, so to speak. So Jane, I'm going to go to you. And let me say, I've heard that luxury home marketing is not for the faint of heart, nor light of wallet. Let's put it that way. As seasoned professionals, what advice would you give to those coming into the business and thinking about specializing in this niche?
I think they will be very hard to compete with us. Just kidding.
I'm like, huh?
They cannot compete with us in the business for 20, 30 years.
Right.
We have rich marketer, we have contact, I think they should stay away. I'm just kidding. We welcome competition out there, and more competition means more business. You know what I mean? And the people do better because you see your competition do better, you learn more, and then you can do better marketing for the homeowner, for the consumer. I think it's good for the business.
Mm-hmm. Good. Paige, you have any advice for somebody coming into the luxury market?
Yes, I do think it is about expertise. And I think that's what, she was referencing when she said it's hard to compete. But I actually think in this age of technology, to become an expert, to do your homework, to study, and all of that is sort of plan A. To extend that, I think what is interesting is back in the day, it would be very, very hard to compete with existing, luxury market experts. But I think in today's world of information, you can get up to speed on that. But I also think you can create a digital footprint much more easily than you could in the past to, just begin to, and it's social media. And I think when you talk about it being, tough on your wallet, I think you can actually do it smartly. And I think agents today can do that by, becoming an expert in the kinds of trends that are luxury, talking about houses that are luxury. Obviously you have to be involved in some sales at a certain point, but I do think there's actually a way to, be in that world and provide some information to the market, which indicates that you are a luxury presence. At the end of the day, it is all about really understanding the market and the houses and being, it's hard work, but it can be done.
Absolutely. Now, and I think we can all agree that working for really successful real estate professionals like yourself, right, is a great way to learn about luxury, right? To learn about that business, just like it is any other market niche, right? So there's some ways of doing it, and there's always business. There's always a market, right? So you've all been so generous with your time today. I'm going to ask you one last question, but it's multi-part question. And I'm going to ask all four of you this one. So I'd like to leave the audience with the following. First of all, your impressions of how optimistic or pessimistic your clients are about the future, what you're seeing. And then the second question is, are you optimistic about real estate going forward? And Jane, I'm going to start with you on this one.
Great, thank you. So I think the order buyer and the seller is super very positive in the market right now. Buyer wanting to buy, they're willing to compete to get a house, no matter how many offers they come in. And one of the home I presented offer, 7 offers last night, one by one with owner. And so it's great news for the homeowner, seller, to seller willing to sell right now because they're getting the price what they're looking for. We would never thought about they can get the home sold for their price. So actually, I think it's a win-win situation for the buyer, for the seller. People are happy, right? For us as a Korean agent, that people like me in the business for a long time, it's the best year so far for me. We did it under contract and the closing about 150 million so far this year.
So it sounds like you're optimistic about how things are going, or they're going to continue to go. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jane. Paige, how about you? What are your impressions about how optimistic or pessimistic your clients are about the future, and how optimistic are you about real estate going forward?
Well, I think we're all very lucky to be in great locations, and we know that the number one rule of real estate is location. And I think at the end of the day, what the past year has taught so many people is the importance of home, not just as a place to live, but as a place to gather, as a place for recreation, as a place to work, and all of those things. So understanding the new importance of home and the fact that we have these great locations, I think that buyers are optimistic for that reason, that investing in these areas is very smart. fiscally, but also from a lifestyle perspective. And as we mentioned, this is the luxury market, and it is a lot about lifestyle and the amenities of the life that they live when they buy these locations. So I think there is a very optimistic perspective that we had not seen sort of pre-pandemic. I am also very optimistic because I believe, as I said, that, you know, if all things being equal and buyers have a place to choose, they would choose one of these areas as well. So it is very important. I don't know that it is the whole market overall, but I do feel like in these great location markets that we will continue to see a very positive movement in real estate for the next coming years.
Terrific. Valerie, your impressions of your clients, and are you optimistic about real estate going forward?
Yes, I think that my clients are optimistic, and showings that I accompany on behalf of my sellers, the buyers seem excited and optimistic about the market. You know, just the fact that they're overbidding and sometimes writing on several houses over listing price and still not getting them, lets them know that there's other people in the same boat that they are that are as optimistic about the market that they're going up against. Having gone through the market of 07 to 13 and the lead up to that, as a realtor, I am a little cautiously optimistic about where the prices are going and if the buyers down the road may get hurt with this overpaying for properties. Although I feel the market's going to remain strong, that is something that I'm a little cautious with when I'm advising my buyers about writing offers and going over list price to just get the house and win it. I do think a little different thing with our market now is from 2000 to 2006, there was a lot of new construction. There was a lot of inventory out there, and there were a lot of builders snatching up tracts of land and developing property. I see builders now starting to pick up land, starting to start spec homes, start new subdivisions. So I'm optimistic about that, thinking that is going to add to the homes that are going up and down the road that will keep the keeping buyers happy for a few years with other options and other properties coming on the market.
Yeah, definitely need that inventory, that's for sure. Thanks, Valerie. Marina, as the chair of NSBAR's Luxury Council, I first want to thank you for getting this roundtable together for us today. And you get the last word as the chair. So
I think that as the chair, any good chair passes the kudos to the people that participated. And I would reiterate, you know, everybody's remarks. We are all optimistic and happy with the way the world is going right this minute. I'm going to use that old school Lake Forest conservatism, though. It is still the overarching concept for us. And I hear more often, especially, you know, in my age group and beyond, as they're buying these luxury properties in multiple offers, it'll be my kids' problem. So I think it goes to, I think it goes to lifestyle. You know, they're buying the lifestyle and hoping that they're going to be more relaxed and healthier than if they'd stayed in a city environment and sort of gutted it out. I do think that COVID has allowed people to be super functioning at home where they didn't believe that that was an option. Corporations didn't believe it was an option. I mean, who would have thought that we would be having meetings on Zoom as a matter of course. So yeah, I like to think that in fact we are on a nice trajectory, and I like that it's smooth and not abrupt. So
well, that's a wrap. It's just been terrific having you guys here. I want to thank you, our panelists, Marina Carney, Valerie Campbell, Paige Dooley, Jane Lee. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, your knowledge with us today. I'm going to tell you right now, I feel like I learned so much today that I'm going to quit being the CEO of NSBAR, and
Join the force.
I'm going to become a luxury broker myself. I did, you know, and well, you know what, judging by the laughter from the panel, maybe I should stay put, but.
No, welcome.
Right, exactly. But
Don't quit your day job, Jeff.
yeah, exactly. Right. So we have had the email addresses of all of you up on screen. If people have questions, I'm sure you guys would welcome an email from anybody in our audience. Reach out, let any of our panelists know of any questions that you might have, or possibly if you've got business that they can work with you on, you know, they would definitely love to hear from you on that too. So also keep an eye out for NSBAR communications and information on upcoming luxury events, training opportunities, and new resources we are creating to help the luxury practitioner. And please stay safe and healthy. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon.